The ISAB monkey cometh.
Oh boy, has this video been a long time coming, but I'm happy to finally be showing off this run. This is going to be a fun one, because for those of you who don't know what's going on here, we are going to do not literally a 2 million pops challenge, but honestly not far off. We're going to do a run where the ISAB monkey is our pure main DPS. There is technically some other towers doing some damage, which is why it isn't literally a 2 million pops, but honestly, it's not far off. We mostly just have a full metal jacket sniper and a bouncing bullet sniper without buff. And on the side, we use a couple genie bottles here and there and a couple cherry fires. Other than that, this is purely just ISAB monkey for DPS and nothing else. It's all support, baby. So we're going to see the quote-unquote dumb crosspath robo monkey tear through all 100 rounds of this advanced map on Chimps. Well, except round 100, I guess, because I'm going to get a first strike for that, but shush shush. Either way, at first, some of you might be a bit confused why this is the map I'm choosing to do it on. While this is around the difficulty I tend to go for with Unpopular Chimps, this obviously seems like a weird map if you don't already know what I'm going to be doing. Because for those of you who aren't very familiar with this map, this is Spillway, and it's a weird map. Because for those of you who haven't played it before, all these sort of metal walls around the center do in fact block line of sight, including the sort of hatches with the brown sort of like coloring to them. But you do have the option to pay to open them, although that costs thousands in cash. As well as that, the green liquid is not something you can put a water-based tower in. You can only place water-based towers in the clear water. So essentially what I'm getting at is, for land-based towers, there is literally nowhere good to put them on this map except the barrel in the center. And for water-based towers, there's only a little bit of real estate, and even the decent spots you have require you to spend thousands opening the hatches. But the reason why I say it's a weird map is because while 90% of this map is awful spots for towers, the few spots that are pretty good for towers are so good that this map always feels sort of like weirdly too easy or weirdly too hard. You can kind of make it a joke if you find a way to just abuse the fact that there are some spots where towers get way more effectiveness than others. But if you just don't have a strategy that can necessarily take good advantage of that fact or place towers in the spots that you want them, then honestly this map becomes way harder than it needs to be. Either way, you might be thinking I'm overcomplicating this if you haven't played it before though, because you might be thinking, oh well, you said you could place things on the barrel, why don't you just put your big bad scary 5th tier on the barrel in the center and watch it rip the whole map apart? And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad idea, except for one thing. First of all, the barrel is so small that when I first played this map, I actually made the mistake of thinking you couldn't even place a tower on it, even though I thought you should be able to. And as it turns out, you can. The reason I thought you couldn't is because this was a long time ago when the map was first added, and I was of the mistaken impression that boomerangs were the same size as dart monkeys, but actually they have a slightly bigger hitbox. As it turns out, this placement is so specific that you can only fit a single tower on this barrel so long as it is the smallest possible size a tower can be. For those of you who are unaware, I believe the list, this is off the top of my head, so forgive me if I miss one, of towers that can fit on the barrel is the dart monkey, the tack shooter, the ice monkey, the glue monkey, the sniper, the ninja, and the alchemist, and I believe that's it. Side note, I also used to think the wizard was the same size as all those towers, but no, it's also slightly bigger, which just seems weird to me because it looks pretty small to me, but I guess it's bigger. Okay, well that doesn't sound great, but it can't be that bad, can it? I mean, yeah, that narrows down your options, but you still got plenty of options there for 5th tiers to buy. I mean, yeah, maybe for the dart monkey you haven't got the best options, the best you probably got is crossbow master, but if you look at something like the ninja, you could easily get like a master bomber, you could easily get like a grandmaster ninja. Here's the problem with that though. I could be mistaken, but I believe you actually have to start with a dart monkey on Chimps. I don't think this map is possible to beat the first couple rounds without placing a dart monkey on the barrel, so you're forced to use the dart monkey. Either way, what's this got to do with the ISAB monkey? I mean, the super monkey is the biggest, fattest tower in the game that isn't a building, so clearly it can't fit on the barrel, and if it can't fit on the barrel, well, it's like I said, everywhere else on this map is just awful. There's barely any spots where any tower can really do any good kind of work, except the barrel where it does amazing. So what on earth are we going to do if we can't put the ISAB monkey on the barrel? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put the ISAB monkey on the barrel. This is where we pull a sneaky on them. You see, I discovered this little trick myself a while ago, but I took so long to finally use it in a video that honestly, at this point, it's probably old news. I'm not saying I was probably the first one to find it. There were probably other people who found it, but certainly, I think more people would know about this now than they did when I first found this trick. But either way, if you use the Worn Hero's Cape item in Geraldo's shop, you can obviously transform a Dart Monkey into a Super Monkey. And if you didn't know, the game doesn't actually check to see if the new tower that a tower becomes once it's transformed is actually allowed to fit where it was already placed. So I'm just allowed to turn this Dart Monkey on this barrel into a Super Monkey, which even if it was twice as small, probably wouldn't have been able to fit. But because when I placed it, it was a Dart Monkey, and then it transformed into a Super Monkey, the game doesn't care. I'm allowed to just plop a Super Monkey on that barrel. Now, there is a drawback to this. That being that they do have the restriction when you transform a Dart Monkey to a Super Monkey using the Worn Hero's Cape, that Super Monkey can't go to tier 4 or higher. It can only use tier 3 upgrades. But I'm afraid I lied to you, because that's not really a restriction. Because why the hell would you ever be using a Super Monkey in Chimps that's any higher than tier 3? Well, I say that, in fairness, the Dark Champion, after receiving so many buffs, is honestly probably not an awful option anymore in Chimps mode, though still rarely optimal. And I mean, Tech Terror's affordable. Not sure if you really want to get it, but I mean, you can afford to get it. But yeah, generally, if you're getting a Super Monkey in Chimps mode, you're getting either a Dark Knight, a Sun Avatar, or a Robo Monkey. And those are all tier 3 upgrades, so that's fine by us. Especially considering that once you put a tower on this spot on the map becomes so easy and long for the balloons to escape that honestly, we don't even need the most DPS in the world for a tower to be able to solo this map now. So that's the beginning of how we're going to get this ISAB monkey to solo an entire game of Chimps on an advanced map. However, it still seemed like it would be a bit of an uphill fight, wouldn't it? Because don't get me wrong, yeah, now we have a lot of time to shoot at the balloons, and during that entire time, the tower should be able to see basically every balloon on the screen. However, there's still a couple issues with this. I mean, we're using the dumb crosspath for the Robo Monkey here, right? We're using the ISAB Monkey. We're memeing. How could we possibly do all that damage when we're memeing? Well, here's the thing. The Super Monkey's really been tweaked and messed around a lot in BTD6 compared to how it used to be in the old days. And I'm not necessarily complaining all too much. I do think it's better than not, because I do think that the Super Monkey was weirdly balanced in older games. However, it does lead to the fact that now there's a lot of things that are kind of unintuitive about stats to do with the Super Monkey now in BTD6 that were never true in previous games. For one, for most of BTD6's life until more recently, and in every previous BTD game ever since Plasma Vision was ever added to the Super Monkey, the Plasma Vision upgrade has been a must-buy. It has essentially been that no Super Monkey will ever be effective if you don't give it Plasma Vision. So much so that I've got something to confess, honestly. I would just buy Plasma Vision on autopilot for so long that it took me until a couple years into BTD6, as someone who has been playing ever since BTD1, to realize I never actually found out what exactly Plasma Vision did. I just knew it made the Super Monkey do more damage. Almost every other upgrade in the game I made sure to have a very specific knowledge of what it actually did, but Plasma Vision was just such a brainless auto-buy upgrade for so long that I realized that I actually never learned what it even specifically does, just that it makes it pop more balloons. So for those of you who might have been in the same boat, what does Plasma Vision do? Well, compared to darts, if you don't have the Plasma Vision upgrade, we're going to skip the Laser Vision upgrade here just for the sake of this example. Compared to darts obviously only have one pierce on the unupgraded Super Monkey, whereas for the Plasma Vision Super Monkey, the Plasma Blasts have a lot more. Or at least they had a lot more in the past, in older games. However, Plasma Blasts aren't as good as they used to be. You see, it's as I said, in previous BTD games, and for most of BTD6's life, it's been the case that the base Super Monkey has been near useless, but the second you get Plasma Vision, it becomes so much stronger that then it actually becomes an effective tower. But obviously BTD6 cares a lot more about being balanced than previous games have, and so that means they obviously kind of have to take a good hard look at the fact that maybe it's not really okay that everyone has to get plasma vision to do okay with the Super Monkey, especially because it really limits cross-pathing potential. And so over time, the developers have shifted power from the plasma vision upgrade into the base Super Monkey and into the other upgrades on other paths. Some of these things happened a while ago. Like, for example, if you didn't realize, you actually get more Pierce on the Super Monkey by just buying range upgrades than you do by getting Plasma Vision. Plasma Vision in BTD6 in its current state only grants +1 Pierce, whereas getting a 020 Super Monkey, just an epic range Super Monkey, that alone has 4 Pierce. So already, there you have a Super Monkey that's still only throwing darts, and yet it has double the Pierce that the Plasma Super Monkey does. Although, of course, if camo detection isn't an option and you don't want knockback, you could always combine the range and Plasma upgrades to get 5 Pierce. But either way, it's quite clear to see that Pierce isn't why Plasma Vision is a good upgrade anymore. No, the main reason why is because it grants double attack speed to the Super Monkey. And wow, that's a big boost, right? Double attack speed. Except wait, it actually hasn't granted double attack speed for a while now. It used to, but a while ago, they increased the base attack speed of the Super Monkey, but decreased the boost that Plasma Vision provides. Now it only provides a 50% attack speed, which, don't get me wrong, is still pretty significant. However, it does mean that where before the Plasma Vision path was essentially, you have to pick this path, you're going to have garbage Pierce, terrible attack speed, and not going to be able to pop lead if you don't pick this path, to now, this path is mostly just for lead popping and a bit more faster attack speed, but honestly, the other paths are starting to catch up. Again, the range path, while also obviously granting range, gives more Pierce than the Plasma Vision path does. In fact, if you're maxing out the Pierce, then a 020 Super Monkey actually has better DPS than a 200 Super Monkey, which is weird to think about. Not to mention, of course, you need the bottom cross path for camo detection if you need that on your Super Monkey, and of course knockback is a super powerful upgrade to deal with early Moabs and stall Super Ceramics. We're genuinely at a point now where it's not just automatically take the top cross path every time. So essentially, here's the score with the ISAB Monkey. It is true that if you're just going to get a Robo Monkey, just for normal defense purposes, yeah, you should get the 230 Robo Monkey as most people do. While it is true that the Plasma Blasts only provide +1 Pierce, and the Robo Monkey already has 7 Pierce at base, so by getting Plasma Blasts, you're only getting a slight boost to your Pierce, and the main thing you're really getting is just attack speed. The attack speed boost is quite significant, especially because, if you didn't know, crits in this game are sort of semi-luck. However, it's not possible to get multiple crits in a row. Essentially, you'll get a crit something like every 10 to 20 shots. That isn't the actual number, but I don't remember the actual number off the top of my head. It's different for like different towers with different crits. And each crit shot does 10 damage instead of 1. So when would the ISAB Monkey ever be better? Well, aside from the more boring and obvious answers of, well, if you need camo detection so you have to buy Ultra Vision, but for some reason you still need a Robo Monkey. Or you could say, well, actually, in this situation, you need knockback to survive because the stall is so important. But let's get to the real reason. Hilariously enough, it's because it can't pop lead. No, I'm not joking. And no, this isn't some dumb, like, oh, but that means you can pop purple argument. No, there's actually a genuinely super important, although also super dumb reason why this tower not popping lead is actually a huge benefit to it. Because if you get the Plasma Blast Robo Monkey, you can't get the Sharpening Stone buff on the Robo Monkey anymore. Whereas the ISAB Monkey doesn't have that problem. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, well, I mean, the Sharpening Stone buff from Geraldo isn't bad, it's a nice Pierce boost, but like, come on, you've already got 7 Pierce, you know, Sharpening Stone's just like another +1, +2 Pierce, I actually don't remember now. So, you know, it's not a massive deal, and I mean, you're already getting extra Pierce by taking the Plasma Crosspath with the faster attack speed, why would you care? But the answer is, for those of you who aren't already aware, once you get to a high enough level with Geraldo, I believe it's level 15, the Sharpening Stone actually gets upgraded, and it doesn't just provide a Pierce boost anymore, it also provides +1 damage per shot. That is actually huge. You don't understand. the ISAB monkey only deals 1 damage per shot. And that would still be the case if you took the plasma crosspath, by the way. Even with the plasma crosspath, it still only deals 1 damage per shot. It only does so much damage because of course it shoots so fast. So yeah, if I took the top crosspath, I could have had 50% faster attack speed and therefore 50% more damage. However, by taking the bottom crosspath and allowing myself to get Sharpening Stone, I'm not just getting a 50% boost to my damage, I'm getting a 100% boost to my damage. In fact, I'm getting a better than 100% boost to my damage, because I'm not only getting double damage by jumping from 1 to 2 damage, but I'm also getting a pierce boost on top of that. From there, we can continue to rack up the damage numbers by using outbuffs to get another +1 on top of that for 3 damage per shot and triple damage overall. This is something that even I must admit I forget a decent amount because of how important outbuff is, but sometimes we forget that AMD exists as well, and Acidic Mixture Dip actually does provide an extra +1 damage, of course, to Moabs and Ceramics, which then further upgrades that triple damage to quadruple damage. And of course, if we really need to, then we can even throw Jar of Pickles in there to make it pentuple damage, although with some slower attack speed. Not to mention that we would also, as a side benefit, be getting, of course, the innate camera detection of Ultravision, a slight range boost alongside it, and of course, most importantly, knockback, which would be very important. Because of course, we're going to be dealing with a lot of super ceramics with basically just this tower. We need to be able to stall those and hold them back. So there you go, I've made my case for the ISAB monkey. Don't get me wrong, in normal play, you're basically always still going to be going for a 2-3-0. But if you just so happen to be running Geraldo and you want to give a whole bunch of buffs to your Robo Monkey, and it's in a really good spot where it can see a decent amount of the track, so it's going to get a good amount of value, then I really do think that the ISAB monkey probably does win out a decent amount of the time. With all that said, you know what this channel's all about. We love shouting out smaller, struggling YouTube channels. So shout outs to ISAB. He has like, I don't know, 7 subscribers, something like that. But he makes some great videos, and I honestly have to say that he is by far my favorite Bloons YouTuber. Not even close. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.